Gina Carano was a pretty famous mixed martial artist. Then she became an actress and became even more successful. She appeared in films like Deadpool and Fast and Furious.
I wouldn't hashtag trans rights and I wouldn't put my pronouns in. Like, they kept on it pressuring, and finally I just said, I'm not doing this.
In recent years, Hollywood has become a place where speaking your mind can destroy your career. As woke culture sweeps through the industry, actors are facing a harsh reality: conform or be canceled, but some actors aren't afraid to push back. From Gina Carano's firing over a tweet to Dave Chappelle's stand on free speech, these stars have dared to challenge the new rules, even when it costs them everything. Are they heroes for standing up, or are they simply out of touch with what's happening in the world? Let's take a look at the actors who've taken a stand against woke culture, and why their stories matter more than ever. Gina, who rose to fame as the tough and fearless Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, became a lightning rod for controversy in 2021. Her firing from the hit Disney series came after a social media post comparing the treatment of conservatives to the persecution of Jews during the Holocaust.
Before that, it started with propaganda. You had to kind of start urging people to make it okay to demonize your neighbor.
The backlash was immediate, with critics calling her words offensive and insensitive. Carano's firing wasn't just about one post. It symbolized a larger issue within Hollywood.
Legislation happened. I had reporters showing up. I had drones looking into my place because it looked out onto the ocean, and there was drones popping up. There was like people in vans, and there was people following me. I was just very exposed.
The increasing pressure to conform to woke culture. Disney's swift decision to part ways with her highlighted the industry's growing intolerance for differing views. But Carano didn't remain silent. In the wake of her dismissal, she boldly fought back. Rather than fading from the spotlight, Carano became an outspoken critic of cancel culture, aligning herself with conservative outlets like the Daily Wire. She argued that Hollywood was becoming increasingly hostile to those with alternative views, particularly when it came to politics and social issues. Carano's case raised important questions about free speech in the entertainment industry. Was she punished for speaking her mind, or did her actions go too far? Her story became a symbol for those who feel their voices are being silenced in a world where conformity often trumps individuality. Her journey isn't just about one actress. It's a reflection of the larger culture war playing out in Hollywood today, where speaking out against the mainstream narrative can cost you your career. Dave Chappelle has always been known for pushing the boundaries of comedy, but his 2021 Netflix special, The Closer, sparked one of the most intense controversies of his career. The special featured jokes about transgender issues.
I'm not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean?
Which quickly ignited protests from LGBTQ+ advocacy groups and led to calls for Netflix to remove it. Despite the backlash, Netflix chose to stand by Chappelle, a decision that made waves across the entertainment industry. For Chappelle, this wasn't just about telling jokes. It was about defending the art of comedy itself. He's long argued that comedy should be free from censorship, insisting that it needs to challenge audiences and make people uncomfortable to fulfill its role. In The Closer, Chappelle confronted sensitive topics like gender identity, criticizing what he views as an overreach of political correctness. His stance wasn't intended as a personal attack, but rather as a critique of what he saw as stifling free speech and entertainment. Within the special, Chappelle also defended his late friend Daphne Dorman, a transgender woman who supported his work. Dorman's tragic suicide shortly before the special aired made the subject even more personal for Chappelle, who aimed to honor her memory. He underscored the importance of open conversations about difficult topics, believing that comedy could be a medium for these discussions without inciting hate. Netflix's decision to support Chappelle was viewed by many as a stand for creative freedom, highlighting that a major platform could back a comedian who challenges prevailing cultural norms. Netflix's co-CEO, Ted Sarandos, defended The Closer as an essential part of cultural discourse, asserting that it didn't promote hate, but rather encouraged dialogue. Chappelle himself stood firm, stating in interviews that he wouldn't allow himself to be canceled, and emphasizing the need for comedy to push boundaries. He argued that comedians should have the freedom to explore controversial topics without fear of retribution. While many condemned his remarks, others defended him, asserting that his resistance to cancel culture was a victory for free expression. The Closer raised broader questions about the role of comedians, whether humor can provoke yet remain respectful, and where the line should be drawn between artistic freedom and social social accountability. Ultimately, Chappelle's experience spotlighted the challenges of being an artist in today's polarized world, where cultural and political divides often intersect with entertainment. McConaughey is widely known not only for his career in acting, but also for his thoughtful, often unexpected views on politics and society.
Thank you to the Academy for this, all 6,000.
In an era when Hollywood is becoming increasingly polarized, McConaughey stands out as a voice of reason, calling for real dialogue and genuine understanding. He has publicly criticized the condescending attitudes many in Hollywood hold toward people with differing political views. For McConaughey, it's clear that the industry's narrative of us versus them is damaging, creating division rather than fostering progress. In multiple interviews, McConaughey has emphasized the importance of embracing authenticity and resisting the pressure to conform to a single political or ideological viewpoint.
I'm on a learning tour and have been for probably the last 6 years of understanding what this category means, what it takes. Do I have?
He's argued that real change comes through conversations, not division, and has called for a greater emphasis on bridging the cultural and political gaps that increasingly define society. He often highlights his frustration with the lack of meaningful discourse in Hollywood. For McConaughey, the focus should be on engaging in discussions that aren't driven by agendas, but by a desire to truly understand each other. He points out how the cultural elite in Hollywood often impose their views on the rest of the country, dismissing those with differing perspectives as ignorant or out of touch. McConaughey advocates for a more open-minded, respectful approach to both art and politics, one that respects individuality and the right to think differently.
Not just the kumbaya good times, but we're going to have conflict. We're going to have confrontation.
His stance has resonated with many who feel silenced by today's politically charged environment. While McConaughey's perspective might not fit neatly into either political camp, his message is clear. Authenticity, honesty, and open dialogue are more important than ever. Chris Pratt is one of Hollywood's biggest stars, widely recognized for his roles in Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic World, and the Lego Movie.
Chris, what's your job on this movie?
I am an actor.
Can you tell me some of the other movies that you've worked on in the past?
You may know me from Jurassic World.
Despite his fame, Pratt has managed to keep a relatively low profile on political matters. However, his openly Christian faith has made him a target, especially in an industry increasingly aligned with progressive ideals. While Pratt avoids political discussions, his beliefs are apparent, and they have stirred up considerable controversy over the years. Pratt's religious views, especially his past association with Hillsong Church, have often been the subject of public scrutiny.
God is real. God loves you. God wants the best for you. Believe that.
In 2019, he came under fire when some media outlets and social media users criticized Hillsong for its perceived stance on LGBTQ+ issues. Although Pratt faced mounting pressure, he defended his faith and distanced himself from any discriminatory views, clarifying that his church does not condone such attitudes. He emphasized that his personal beliefs, rooted in Christianity, prioritize love, acceptance, and respect for others. Unlike many Hollywood figures, Pratt doesn't actively engage in contentious social issues. However, his silence on certain political topics has, at times, led to speculation and criticism, with some accusing him of holding conservative views due to his faith. Pratt responded by emphasizing that his religious beliefs do not align with discrimination or exclusion, but are focused on positivity and compassion.
Nobody is perfect. People are going to tell you you're perfect just the way you are. You're not.
Pratt has repeatedly shown that he won't apologize for his faith, even if it comes at a professional or personal cost. His stance has inspired a portion of his fan base that appreciates his willingness to hold true to his values despite the backlash. To them, Pratt's resilience in the face of criticism represents a broader struggle in Hollywood between individual beliefs and the industry's cultural expectations.
If you're strong, be a protector, and if you're smart, be a humble influencer. Strength and intelligence can be weapons, and do not wield them against the weak.
Ultimately, Chris Pratt's experience underscores the challenges of staying true to personal principles in a field where public figures are often expected to conform to popular ideologies. His commitment to his faith, regardless of Hollywood's climate, is a reminder of the importance of authenticity and conviction in an environment where personal values are frequently put to the test. Bill Maher is a self-proclaimed liberal who has become one of the most vocal critics of the political correctness sweeping through Hollywood and beyond.
I appreciate that more than I can tell you. That is the right attitude. We're still going to have fun. Okay, you know what? We had it.
Known for his sharp wit and unfiltered opinions, Maher is not afraid to call out the excesses of his own side, making him a polarizing figure in the entertainment world. Despite his progressive political views, Maher has been outspoken about the dangers of cancel culture, censorship, and the increasingly fragile nature of free speech in today's climate. On his HBO show, Real Time with Bill Maher, he regularly challenges the prevailing narratives in Hollywood.
Isn't going to go along with every aggressively anti-common sense idea that comes out of the woke mind virus, which, yes, is a thing.
Often criticizing both the left and the right for their overreaction to issues of political correctness. His commentary on these issues is blunt and, at times, controversial, but it is always rooted in a commitment to open dialogue. His call for free speech resonates with many who feel that the modern media landscape is becoming too sensitive and censorious. For Maher, comedy and conversation should be free from the constraints of political correctness. He believes that people need the space to express differing views without the fear of backlash or cancellation.
They could not conceive of a second Trump term, but they should have. When does America ever turn down second?
As a result, Maher has consistently pushed back against the pressures of the Hollywood elite, advocating for more honest conversations, even if they are uncomfortable or unpopular. His stance has earned him both praise and criticism, but it also makes him one of the most distinctive voices in the debate over free speech in modern entertainment. Bill Maher's defiance of the woke culture within Hollywood has made him an important figure in the ongoing conversation about censorship, free expression, and the role of comedians and entertainers in shaping public discourse. Ricky Gervais has carved out a reputation as one of the most fearless voices in comedy.
Anger management, man. Just calm the fuck down. Let's
especially in his criticism of the so-called woke culture. Known for his sharp wit and unapologetic style, Gervais isn't afraid to take aim at Hollywood's elite, calling out their hypocrisy, self-importance, and tendency to conform to the latest social and political trends. His comedic approach isn't just entertaining, it's a challenge to the Hollywood status quo. One of Gervais' most memorable platforms for this critique has been his multiple appearances as host of the Golden Globe Awards.
Hello and welcome to the 77th Annual Golden Globe Awards, live from the Beverly Hilton Hotel here in Los Angeles.
These appearances have become famous for their edgy humor, with Gervais using his opening monologues to lampoon everything from celebrity activism to the entertainment industry's selective morals. In one of his most iconic moments, he told the star-studded audience, "You're all terrified of the woke mob." This line, delivered with his trademark deadpan, captured the prevailing sentiment that Hollywood often censors itself to avoid backlash, aligning its messaging to appease current social pressures. It resonated with viewers who feel that the industry has become too risk-averse and afraid to confront issues honestly in the face of cancel culture. For Gervais, comedy is about pushing boundaries and exploring topics that may be uncomfortable or controversial. He believes humor shouldn't be limited by societal pressures, particularly those that dictate what is acceptable or safe to say. In his view, comedy has always been a place to question norms, not to bow to them. This fearless approach has set him apart in a Hollywood climate where many artists choose to align with politically correct narratives, often to avoid criticism or career repercussions. Whether people love him or hate him, Gervais' willingness to tackle woke culture head-on with satire and humor has made him a central figure in the ongoing debate about free speech and the limits of comedy. His stance embodies a resistance to censorship, suggesting that true comedy must be free to question, challenge, and provoke, even in today's polarized society. In the UK, Laurence Fox has become one of the most outspoken voices challenging race and identity politics. Known for his unapologetically controversial views, Fox has taken aim at what he considers to be the stifling influence of woke culture. His message is clear: woke culture stifles creativity. Fox believes the rise of identity politics has created an environment where artists, writers, and entertainers feel pressured to conform to a narrow, politically correct agenda, which he argues suppresses the freedom to explore ideas ideas openly and creatively. Fox contends that this atmosphere doesn't just impact individual expression, it reshapes the entire creative landscape. In his view, the current climate forces individuals to self-censor, limiting the diversity of opinions and narrowing the range of artistic exploration that once defined the industry. He argues that creativity thrives on the freedom to question, to provoke, and to challenge, and he sees woke culture as fundamentally opposed to these principles. Fox has stated that art should be about pushing boundaries and addressing uncomfortable truths, not following prescribed narratives out of fear of offending. Throughout various interviews and public appearances, Fox has voiced his concerns about how this environment ultimately polarizes society. He argues that when artists and audiences alike feel compelled to align with specific ideologies, it reduces the potential for open, meaningful dialogue. According to Fox, this creates an echo chamber where ideas are either accepted or dismissed based on ideological lines, making genuine engagement with diverse perspectives increasingly rare.
And the court of public opinion, which is actually more important in many ways, as this court is proving, is somebody a racist?
Predictably, Fox's statements have drawn both fervent support and harsh criticism. Supporters see him as a courageous advocate for free speech, unafraid to challenge cultural norms in defense of artistic integrity. Critics, however, accuse him of downplaying the issues identity politics seeks to address, arguing that his perspective ignores the real impact of systemic inequalities that these movements aim to confront. Regardless of the polarization, Fox remains steadfast in his position. For him, the need for open, honest dialogue, free from the constraints of woke culture, is crucial for the arts and society as a whole. His call for a return to creative freedom has ignited discussions around freedom of expression, highlighting the tension between personal belief and cultural expectation in today's increasingly polarized world. Neal McDonough's career took an unexpected turn when he refused to compromise his faith for Hollywood. The actor, known for roles in Band of Brothers and Desperate Housewives, made headlines when he turned down roles that required intimate scenes.
10 years ago, where they thought I was this religious zealot, that I wouldn't do sex scenes, and it was really because I love my wife more than I love my craft.
Citing his strong Catholic beliefs, his decision to stick to his principles led to being cut from TV shows, including Scoundrels, but McDonough has never wavered in his stance. His commitment to his values stands out in an industry that often prioritizes personal ambition and professional advancement. McDonough's refusal to portray certain characters was not about rejecting Hollywood, but about refusing to go against what he believes in. For him, maintaining personal integrity was more important than any role, no matter how lucrative. While his choices have been criticized by some in the industry, McDonough has been firm, stating that he will not compromise his faith for a part. In several interviews, he has emphasized that his faith guides his decisions, even when those decisions come at a cost to his career. McDonough's stance is a reminder that for some, personal and religious values are non-negotiable, even in a world where the pressures to conform can be overwhelming. His story also speaks to a broader issue, the tension between personal beliefs and professional obligations, particularly in an entertainment industry that often values inclusivity and political correctness. In a business that has witnessed countless actors adjusting their beliefs to fit the narrative, Neal McDonough's refusal to compromise on his faith is a powerful example of standing by one's values, no matter the cost. Comedy legend John Cleese has never been one to shy away from controversy. As one of the masterminds behind Monty Python and a celebrated comedian, Cleese has long advocated for the freedom of expression in comedy. He stated comedy needs to be free, and this belief has defined much of his career. In a time when political correctness often dictates the boundaries of humor, Cleese stands firm, insisting that comedy should push limits and provoke thought, not adhere to a set of rigid rules. Throughout his storied career, Cleese has tackled a wide range of sensitive topics, from politics to religion, and used humor to challenge societal norms. His work on Monty Python's Flying Circus is a prime example, pushing boundaries and defying conventions that were common in mainstream entertainment at the time.
Oh, you're a rich man.
Yes, I am. Yes. Very, very rich. Quite phenomenally wealthy, yes, I do.
For Cleese, comedy is not about conforming to an established narrative. It's about challenging ideas, pushing the envelope, and most importantly, not taking oneself too seriously. In interviews, Cleese has often stated that political correctness and cancel culture have a stifling effect on creativity. He believes these cultural forces are undermining the essence of comedy, which should be about free expression and open dialogue. Without fear of reprisal, Cleese sees these trends as a threat to the humor that challenges our thinking and helps us reflect on uncomfortable truths.
2 people, 3 people have just fallen past that window.
Must be a board meeting. Oh, yeah.
His stance is a call for comedians to stand up against censorship, making the point that humor is one of the last bastions of free speech. His refusal to self-censor has made him both a beloved and polarizing figure in the entertainment world. But for Cleese, the essence of comedy is simple. It must be free to explore all angles of society, even if it offends. His outspoken views remind us that comedy, at its best, should not just entertain, it should make us think and confront difficult questions. Joe Rogan has become a prominent voice against woke culture, using the Joe Rogan Experience podcast to challenge mainstream ideas and engage with guests across the ideological spectrum. With millions tuning in, Rogan's openness to different, sometimes controversial viewpoints has led to accusations that he spreads harmful ideas.
Could you imagine if the cover of Men's Health had an enormous fat guy with his gut hanging over his belt, and people were saying the new standards of attractiveness for men have been changed?
However, he is particularly critical of cancel culture, arguing that it stifles free speech and creativity, especially in areas like comedy and the arts. Rogan believes the fear of offending others has led to a sameness in media and entertainment, where nuanced and open discussions are increasingly rare. His unfiltered style often addresses sensitive topics, such as gender identity in sports, where he argues that biological differences should factor into competitive categories. This stance has drawn both strong support and backlash, making him a polarizing figure, but one who is committed to fostering open dialogue.
But when I'm high, I'm like, you call that thing your baby, your doll, you call it your baby, but you know it's not a baby, right?
Despite the criticism, Rogan's audience continues to grow, with many fans appreciating his willingness to tackle taboo topics that Hollywood often avoids. Unlike celebrities who conform to progressive ideals, Rogan's everyman approach and his dedication to airing diverse viewpoints have made him popular among those who feel alienated by mainstream media. Rogan's influence extends beyond culture into politics, particularly during recent high-profile episodes featuring political figures, including Donald Trump. These discussions often touch on shared critiques of cancel culture and the pressures of woke ideology, resonating with listeners who are disenchanted by traditional narratives. Rogan's platform allows these figures to express their views without the constraints of political correctness, highlighting the freedom he values. Ultimately, Joe Rogan serves as a counterforce to Hollywood's woke culture, emphasizing the importance of free expression over conformity. As debates over inclusivity, free speech, and media bias continue, Rogan's willingness to explore alternative perspectives keeps him central to the cultural conversation. In an era of deepening ideological divides, his commitment to exploring challenging topics has made him a notable disruptor, appealing to those seeking a platform where diverse ideas can be freely expressed. It's clear that these actors are sparking a cultural shift in Hollywood, proving that diverse viewpoints still have a place in an industry often defined by conformity. Their courage to speak out against woke culture challenges the growing pressures on free speech and artistic freedom. As these conversations continue, it's essential that we embrace differing perspectives, both in Hollywood and beyond. After all, the freedom to express ourselves without fear of cancellation is something worth fighting for. If you believe in the power of open dialogue and free expression, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content that dives into these important issues. Let's keep the conversation going.